Princess Victoria of Prussia was born on April 12, 1866, in the New Palace, Potsdam. She was the second daughter of Frederick III, the future German Emperor, and Victoria, Princess Royal of the United Kingdom. Her maternal grandparents were Queen Victoria and Prince Albert, linking her to the British royal family. Victoria was christened on May 24, 1866, with her godparents including Queen Victoria, Prince of Wales, and King George V of Hanover. Raised in a liberal Anglophile household, she was heavily influenced by her mother's British heritage and liberal values. Within the family, she was affectionately known as Moretta or Little Vicky, Delhi by her namesake Queen Victoria, who wrote to the Crown Princess Victoria, expressing her pleasure.
I am much pleased and touched that the dear new baby, and long may she remain the baby, is to be called after me, as I cannot deny that it pained me very much that 4 children were born without one being called after either of your parents. However, I know that you could not help that.
Both joy and sorrow marked Victoria's early childhood. She was the 5th child and second daughter of her parents. Tragically, 2 months after her birth, her nearly 2-year-old brother, Sigismund, died of meningitis. Due to the absence of the best doctors who had gone to the front with the army, Sigismund could not receive adequate medical care. Crown Princess Victoria's letter to her mother after his death revealed the depth of her grief. In response to this loss, Crown Princess Victoria chose to raise her younger children herself, a departure from the reliance on tutors and governesses for her older children, Wilhelm, Charlotte and Henry. Consequently, Victoria and her younger siblings, Valdemar, Sophie and Margaret, were much closer to their parents. This close-knit family environment was further solidified by yet another tragedy in 1879, when 11-year-old Valdemar died of diphtheria, bringing the 3 sisters even closer together. The family resided primarily at the New Palace in Potsdam and the Kronprinz Palais in Berlin. In 1871, Victoria's grandfather, Wilhelm I, became the German Emperor, and her parents assumed the titles of Crown Prince and Princess of a unified German Empire. Despite their elevated status, they chose to raise their children away from the Berlin court, which was critical of their liberal beliefs. Instead, they hoped to instill these values in their children through an education system similar to the one that Crown Prince Victoria's father, Prince Albert, created. Her mother's British roots heavily influenced Victoria's upbringing. British nannies cared for her and her younger siblings and frequently visited their family in Britain. Victoria's childhood was less strict than that of her older siblings, allowing her to be an active and enthusiastic child. She attended weekly dance lessons, enjoyed riding her Shetland pony, a gift from Queen Victoria, and took pleasure in gardening and cooking, often visiting the palace kitchens for lessons at her mother's suggestion. This blend of privilege, personal involvement from her parents, and exposure to liberal ideas shaped Victoria into a well-rounded and compassionate individual. In 1881, 16-year-old Princess Victoria of Prussia's life took a romantic turn when Alexander, Prince of Bulgaria, visited the Prussian court at her mother's behest. Encouraged by her mother, the Crown Princess Victoria, and her grandmother, Queen Victoria, Victoria quickly became enamoured with the charming Prince Sandro. However, their burgeoning romance faced significant opposition from Victoria's Prussian relatives. Their elder siblings, grandparents Emperor Wilhelm I and Empress Augusta, and German Chancellor Otto von Bismarck were firmly against the match. Alexander's action in Bulgaria angered the Russian Tsar, and Victoria's marriage to him could further strain relations. Additionally, Alexander's birth from a less than enthusiastic marriage and his unstable position as Prince of Bulgaria made the union seem advantageous only for him. By 1888, pressure from Wilhelm I and Bismarck forced Victoria and her parents to abandon the marriage plans. As Victoria's hopes of marrying Sandro faded, she faced a series of personal tragedies. Her grandfather, Emperor Wilhelm I, died on March 9, 1888, and her father, now Emperor Frederick III, was battling terminal throat cancer. Frederick's reign ended after 99 days, leaving Victoria's elder brother, Wilhelm II, as the new emperor. Despite Frederick's dying wish for Wilhelm to allow Victoria to marry Sandro, Wilhelm II ended their courtship definitively, returning Victoria's letters and gifts to Sandro. At 22, Victoria feared she would remain a spinster. Struggling with self-image, she began to diet obsessively. Her mother, Empress Frederick, expressed deep concern in a letter to Queen Victoria, lamenting Victoria's extreme eating habits and excessive exercise.
You would indeed make me most happy and do me the greatest favour if you could induce Moretta not to be so foolish about her food. Her one craze is to be thin. She starves completely, touches no milk, no sugar, no bread, no sweets, no soup, no butter, nothing but a scrap piece of meat and apples. It's not enough. She will ruin her health, and she has a fine, strong constitution. She goes to bed too late and takes almost too much exercise. I have begged and prayed, ordered and threatened, all to no effect. She's quite fanatical on the subject.
Victoria likely suffered from disordered eating, exasperated by the emotional turmoil and her brother Wilhelm's hostility, which subtly pushed her out of Berlin's social sphere. Consequently, she lived with her mother and younger sister Margaret at Friedrichshof Castle in Hesse. Seeking to alleviate her depression, Empress Frederick sent Victoria to Britain to recover among her British relatives. Despite her mother and grandmother's ongoing efforts to find suitable suitors, Victoria faced repeated rejections. Prince Karl of Sweden, Grand Duke Alexander Mikhailovich of Russia, and several other noblemen declined marriage proposals. Even commoners like Captain Maurice Borg were considered, but something still needed to materialise. Her eldest sister Charlotte's gossip about her love life further disheartened Victoria, eventually leading her to abandon hope of marriage altogether. Princess Victoria's life was marked by personal loss, unfulfilled romance, and societal pressures. Yet her story is one of resilience, reflecting her strength in the face of adversity and the complexities of her royal duties and personal desires. In June 1890, Princess Victoria of Prussia and her mother and sister Margaret visited their cousin Marie of Nassau, the widowed Princess of Wied. Among the guests was Prince Adolf of Schaumburg-Lippe. During this visit, Adolf proposed to Victoria on June the 11th. Although Victoria claimed in her memoirs to have loved Adolf at first sight, she confessed to her mother that she married him out of desperation, fearing she might remain unmarried. Victoria's mother was initially dismayed by the engagement, deeming Adolf unworthy of her daughter, but Queen Victoria approved of the match, albeit with reservations about Victoria's happiness. The wedding festivities began 2 days before the ceremony. Following an opera outing and a banquet hosted by Victoria's mother, Victoria and Adolf were married on November the 19th, 1890, in a Lutheran ceremony at the chapel of Berlin's Old Schloss. The ceremony was attended by nearly 60 royal guests, including much of Victoria's extended family. Victoria wore a cream satin gown, brocaded and trimmed with wild roses and silver, complemented by a tulle veil interwoven with silver and adorned with a wreath of orange blossoms and myrtles. Following their wedding, Victoria and Adolf embarked on an extensive honeymoon across Europe and the Mediterranean, visiting her sister Sophie in Greece. However, their travels were cut short due to Victoria's early miscarriage, and the couple returned to Germany for medical care. The marriage remained childless, but Victoria and Adolf maintained a peaceful relationship based on mutual respect. Despite this, Victoria did not love her husband and later considered divorce to marry one of his nephews. Adolf bought a neoclassical palace, the Palais Schaumburg in Bonn, where Victoria often found herself alone due to Adolf's military commitments. She lived a quiet life, frequently visiting her extended family and engaging in hobbies like decorating and gardening. Despite Adolf's efforts to make her comfortable, including installing tennis courts, Victoria felt bored and unhappy, leading to another bout of depression and severe disordered eating. In 1893, she was treated for anemia in Hesse. From 1895 to 1897, Adolf served as regent of the Principality of Lippe for Prince Alexander, who was suffering from mental illness. Victoria enjoyed her new public responsibilities during this period, which also improved her state of mind. However, her husband was later passed over for the permanent regency and prince title. In 1898, Victoria's mother, Empress Frederick, was diagnosed with breast cancer. Despite her challenges, Victoria remained supportive of her mother until her death on August 5, 1901. Victoria also experienced a carriage accident in 1901 but was not seriously injured. She marked her 35th birthday that year surrounded by family at Friedrichshof amid the losses of both Queen Victoria and Empress Frederick. Adolf died in 1916, leaving Victoria to navigate the remaining years with the resilience and determination that had characterized much of her life. In 1914, Germany entered World War I, casting a shadow over Princess Victoria of Prussia's life. Despite her ties to the German royal family, she sympathised with her mother's British homeland, making the war particularly distressing. By 1915, the 49-year-old, described as youthful and wealthy, relocated from Berlin to a luxurious castle in Bonn. The war brought significant upheaval. Her husband Adolf died in July 1916. Her brother-in-law, the King of the Hellenes, was deposed in 1917, and her brother Wilhelm II abdicated in 1918 as the German monarchy fell. After the war, Victoria met her cousin, the future King George VI of the United Kingdom, and expressed hope for reconciliation between their nations. George, however, was pessimistic, highlighting the deep-seated bitterness towards Germany. Despite the end of the monarchy, Victoria retained her home but faced financial difficulties. In the mid-1920s, she was offered a paid opportunity to write her memoirs, which were eventually published in 1929, although they contained some embellishments. In 1927, Victoria hosted a party at her Bonn castle, where she met Alexander Anatolovich Zubkov, a Russian immigrant and law student. Despite their 35-year age difference, Victoria was infatuated with Zubkov, showering him with lavish gifts. Against family advice and without her brother Wilhelm's permission, Victoria renounced her titles and married Zubkov on November 19, 1927, the anniversary of her first marriage to Adolf. The scandalous wedding saw Victoria, now aged 61, and Zubkov, 27, marry in a Greek Orthodox ceremony devoid of family attendance. Zubkov quickly squandered Victoria's dwindling fortune, and his public misconduct led to his deportation from Germany. He relocated to Luxembourg, working as a waiter and capitalizing on his royal connection. Initially supportive, Victoria separated from him in 1928, all due to his antics. Financially strained, Victoria auctioned off nearly all her belongings, but the proceeds were insufficient to cover her debts, forcing her to move into a single rented room in Bonn. In 1929, Victoria filed for divorce, citing Zubkov's inability to support her and the absence of marital relations. However, before the divorce could be finalized, Victoria fell ill with pneumonia. Despite her siblings' attempts to reach her, she died on November 13, 1929, in the Hospital of St. Francis in Bonn, penniless and estranged from her family. She was buried at Friedrichshof, the residence of her sister Margaret. Victoria's life, marked by privilege and turmoil, ended at 63. Princess Victoria of Prussia's life was a complex tapestry of privilege, tragedy, and resilience. Born into the illustrious house of Hohenzollern, she experienced the grandeur of royalty and the harsh realities of personal loss and societal upheaval. A nurturing family environment marked her early years, and she grew into a figure of compassion and strength, advocating for social causes despite her struggles. Victoria's romantic endeavours, particularly her ill-fated love for Prince Alexander of Battenberg and her later controversial marriage to Alexander Zubkov, reflected her personal challenges. Her final years were overshadowed by financial difficulties and estrangement from her family, yet she maintained her dignity and resolve. Though somewhat embellished, her memoirs offer a glimpse into her enduring spirit. Victoria's life, culminating in her quiet death in Bonn, symbolises the resilience of a woman who navigated the complexities of royalty and personal hardship. She leaves a legacy of strength, compassion, and an indomitable will, remembered as a princess who faced life's adversities with unwavering determination. Hey everyone, thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this video, you'll love the next one, where we explore what ended Queen Sophia's reign in Greece. We've got some amazing insights and surprises waiting for you. So click on this next video and join us for more great content, and I'll see you there.